What is up, everyone? Welcome to episode 4 of the Rust for Beginners series, where we are going to create a complete trading engine from scratch. And I see a lot of people are watching these videos but are not subscribed. If you like the content that I'm providing, consider subscribing to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and jump into the Discord, where we are helping each other to become a high-value software engineer. Without any further ado, let's continue. We're gonna do some cool changes because let's do a git log real quick. Web fill market and implementation. Yeah. So let's open up order book on this side. So the first thing we're gonna do, we need to do sorting and everything. That's what we're gonna do today, and complete the market order fill shenanigans. But remember, we have this price, right? And this price implementation was fine until today. It did its job, but I have a much better idea for this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna delete the price, get rid of this guy, and wait, first of all, we're gonna do something else actually. Let me quickly show you something. If we do a cargo, what's going on here? If we do a cargo test, for example, then we see a lot of warnings, right? We see all of these warnings. That's basically because it's telling us that we are not using this, right? And that's fine, because that means that you do useless stuff in your code. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm gonna do this. At the top of my create file, whatever you wanna call this, I'm gonna say something like this, and it's gonna be allow, and I think that code, yes, like this, right? And this basically means that if we do cargo test once again, you see that we have a clean output in our terminal. Much better for us. It's much better for demonstrational purposes. Do not do this in production. Okay, so yes, this price thingy, that's what we're gonna do. So where is price? Let me find price real quick, /price, and then a couple of n's here. So what we're gonna do is delete this guy. Delete the whole shebang, because we're gonna use the decimal crate. Because why do we need the decimal crate? Because we can actually implement compare and all that stuff, partial compare for our price type, but hey, it's just nasty. We don't want to hassle with that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna install this decimal crate, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna copy these two guys, the rust decimal and the rust decimal macros. The macros is so we can actually instantiate the decimal at a much more convenient way, especially in our tests. So at the top of our file, we're gonna do this rust decimal, and actually, what's going on? What am I doing? We need a toml, right? We're gonna paste it in here. Hey, still early, my bad, boys and girls. Like this, save that, then go back to order book, and then we're gonna import this prelude, the whole shebang, like this. I mean, like this. And then we're gonna do some nice stuff. We're gonna basically replace the price with the decimal thing. So we're gonna say here, I think. Yes, here is the first thing. We're gonna say, let's do this. Can we do this? We can't. So we're gonna do decimal. We're gonna type it out manually. Decimal, right? Remove all the prices with decimal. We could do a find and replace, I know, but I think for refactoring, it's always a good practice. Actually, this can be doing like this, decimal, like this, perfectly fine. You could do a find and replace, but I think for refactoring, it's not a bad practice to do it manually sometimes to be sure. Decimal, like this, and then here decimal, like this. Where are these bad boys? And then our tests, yeah. So for our test, what we're gonna do is we're gonna import this deck thingy, this macro stuff. So we could do like this, what you could say, price is going to be deck exclamation mark, and we're going to say it's going to be 10,000, the same thing. And let's copy this. We could do the same thing here, copy it again, paste it in here, and I think that should be it. If we run cargo test, we're going to have some issues in other files. Add order, what's going on? It's main. Let's open up main. And I think we need to import this decimal thing here. Right, so we're going to say deck exclamation mark 44. Do the same here. Deck exclamation mark 4. Do the same here. A little bit of refactoring. Like I said, we're making things better as we go. What's going on here? Decimal preludes. I'm actually trash. We need to have this other thing. This macro thing actually. Paste it in here. Yes, that's much better. And the sprint line is basically relics from the past. Let's delete that. I think in engine, let's open up engine. Engine should also have some troubles, right? Yeah, it's engine that needs this prelude. Engine is the mother wrapper of the application. Engine is going to be the entry point, right, where we're going to call this stuff. Add order price. The only thing we need to do is make this a decimal. And that should be fine. And my hands are cold. Winter is coming. So, yes. And again, main. If something is in main, I think because we have engine, we change something in engine, right? Yeah. We're going to say deck, exclamation mark. We don't need this. And I think now we're Gucci. Cargo run. Actually, test. Cargo test. Fine. Toppy. All right. Let's go back to order book. Because we are filling market orders. Let's kill order book here. Yeah. We are filling market orders. Where is this? Here, right? So what we did here, the previous episode, we're going to make this a little bit better, right? Because it's not the best option. So what we're going to do, we could say something like let the limits, because we are filling market order if it's a bit, right? Because if you are placing an ask, we're going to fetch the bits, right? If you're selling, we want to fetch the buyers. And if we are buying, we want to fetch the sellers, right? So we stopped actually with fetching the bits and filling these. Now we're going to actually also fill the ask. So I'm going to make something much cleaner. I'm going to say, my bad. I'm going to say match. It's going to be match market order bid or ask. Actually, bid or ask like this. And then I'm going to say... then I'm going to say this, bid or ask. If it's a bid, we're going to say give me the self ask limits, right? I hope that makes sense, right? If we buying, we want to fill it with the sells, and if we're selling, we want to fill it with the buys, right? And let's copy this, and we're going to say if the asks, then we're going to say give me the bid limits, right? And these need to be sorted, and I will explain how is this going to work. Yes. And then we could do something like for limit order in limits. We could actually copy the thing we did, right? We can start filling, and if it's filled, we stop filling, right? Classic stuff. And then we can delete this code, and then we should be good. Right, this is much cleaner, and it will work the same way. So we need to do something very important, and that's sorting, right? That's why we made this separate functions. We could, because our ask and bits is basically a hash map, but we want that as a vec, right? That's the first thing, the first reason why we made this ask limit function, which will return a vec to mutable limits, because we need that mutable, because we're gonna adjust the memory, right? But it's not sorted. And why is the sorting important? Well, let me show you something. So let me explain you something. If we gonna place a bid, right, which basically means we are gonna buy, right, a buy order, then we need to fetch the asks from the book, right? And we want, basically, if we want to buy against the cheapest seller, right? So that basically means that they need to be sorted cheapest, right? Cheapest price. If that makes sense. So let's copy this, and we're going to say if we are placing an ask, which basically means we are placing a sell order, that means that we need to fetch the bids, and we need to sort them by the highest price, because if we want to sell something, we don't want to sell the cheapest dude, we want to sell against the highest buy order, the highest price somebody wants to buy a certain asset for. That makes sense. That's the name of the game. So we're going to say sort by the highest price, right? That's what we're going to do. It's a little bit of reverse thinking, right? It's a little bit of a brain fart sometimes, I know. But hey, it is what it is. Yeah, and that's also the reason why we are actually changing price into a decimal, because we need to do comparing. And as you know, comparing floats, but price was not a float, but comparing is always nasty, especially if it's a float. And then we need to implement compare and partial compare and all that stuff to return an ordering in our price type. And we don't want to hassle with that because there is already a decimal package which is already implement all that good stuff. Yeah. Okay, so how are we going to do this? Ask limits, right? So we say if we want to fetch the asks, right, here, then we could do it like this, right? Yeah. So if we want to place a bid, we need to fetch the asks. Maybe we could do ask limits actually to make it a little bit cleaner. And it needs to be sorted by cheapest price, right? So how are we going to sort that as cheapest price? I think we're going to say something like let the limits, and this needs to be immutable. Let the mutable limits is going to be self-ask values mut and all that good stuff. Then we can actually return the limits here, right? And then we can say limits sort by AB. What's going on here? AB. And then we can say A price compare with B price. Is that a thing? Yeah, I think it's a thing. And then I think that should be good. Cheapest price, right? And then we need to do the inverse for the bid limits, because the bid limits we're going to say ask sell order bid, and we're going to say bid limits to make it clearer. And we need to sort by the highest price. So how are we going to do this? We're going to say the same thing, actually, almost the same thing. We're going to say let mut limits is going to be this, and then let's return the limits here. And then we're going to actually, let's copy this sorting thing, paste it in. But we're going to say B is going to be A. Compare with A, and that's going to be the inverse, right? Okay, so let's make a quick test, right? Let's make a quick test. And of course, guys, these tests are not the best tests. I mean, they are not the tests that we are going to deliver by the end of the project, right? Because a lot of people think, whoa, you could do this better, and you could do this better, and this is not the best Rust semantic, and this is not the best principle in the community. I know, but I want to teach you how to build stuff, how to learn a language, and if we are going to make these things complex from the start, like all these cool stuff you can do with Rust, then it's going to be so complicated and it's hard to grasp, and you're going to quit learning Rust. That's the thing. We can make this so fancy. We can make this program so complicated and so clean with all these nifty mechanics, but nobody's gonna understand what's going on. So I'm trying to make this as easy as possible to understand, so you guys can see things happening, that things are working, and you will feel good, you will get dopamine, and it will trigger you to keep learning, to keep continuing. That's the most important thing. I think that's also the reason why maybe Rust is not that adopted yet, because people are so focused on this is not the right way, and you should use into this, and you should use this thread, and you should use this, and that. But you say, whoa, what's going on? Nobody can read the code, right? That's the problem. Let's give people the chance to adopt the language and then get better over time and use these more nifty mechanics, if I know what I mean. I hope that makes sense. So these tests are not going to be the best, but we're going to change them. They're going to be the best, but not yet. So we're going to say, let's make a real quick test to test if it's working, right? So we're going to say event. How are we going to call this? Order book fill. Yeah, fill. Maybe market order. asks. Ask. I know. It's not the best name, but hey. So the first thing I'm going to say is let mut order book is going to be an order book. New. And then we're going to say something like order book. Add order. And I think add order should be add limit order or place limit order or something. But hey. So we're going to add an order, which basically means we need to give a price. So I think you could do deck and then say something. These prices are very important because that's how they're going to get sorted, right? So let's make this a little bit scrambly. Let's say 100 for this guy. And then we need an order new here. Bid or ask. So we're going to test if the asks are basically sorted. So we need to place a bid, right? Then we're going to grab the asks, right? Actually, no. This needs to be asked because we're doing limit orders. Yeah, sorry. And we need to give a size. Let's give it a simple size. Let's give it a size of 10. And 10 will not work. I'm going to like this. Yeah. And let's paste a couple things in. So let's say this is going to be 100. This is going to be 10. This is going to be 8. Wait, this is actually... let's make this 500. Let's make this, 200 for this guy. And maybe 300 or 400. It doesn't actually matter. I'm just trying to scramble these things. So we're going to add a bunch of limit orders. And we can actually already test this. We could say println. Like this. What's going on? Println. We could do this. Question mark. And we could say order book ask limits. Like this. And then run this. Right, and then we see a couple of limits with one order inside of it, right? So we can say, which are asks, right? Of course, we can say price 100, then 200, then we see price 300, and then price 500, which basically means that they are sorted, which is good, perfectly fine, and which basically should do the same for the bits, right? So what can we do? We can do something like, for example, let's market order. So what we want to test is basically if we're placing a market order that we are filling against the cheapest price. That's the goal of this thing. Which is actually, it's going to be a hard thing to do, and you will see why. So we're going to say let market order is going to be an order. It needs to be a mutable market order. It's going to be order new. What's going on here? VS Code. We need to specify as bid or ask is going to be a bit. Like this. And then we're going to say a size. Let's fill it directly, right? Let's make it just fill with 1. Because if we place the size higher, then basically it's going to fill multiple things with multiple limits. And then we could say order book, fill limit, fill market order rather, and then we can say just a market order, I guess. And it's going to be, I think, an immutable market order. And I'm thinking how we gonna test this, because there are a lot of things we can't do. Let's do let limits. You can say ask limits. It's gonna be order book. Ask limits. We could say let filled limit. Can I do this? I'm not quite sure. I need to test this. It's going to be the ask limits. Get the first one. Unwrap it. Get the orders. Get the first order. You see it? I mean, hey, It could be better, but hey, just want to test things out. So we're going to say unwrap this, then we need to unwrap it again. I think it's a little bit a nasty thing, but hey, it's the name of the game. Fill limit. I mean, with this is going to be actually maybe the matched limit. It's maybe a better name. Actually, I first want to get matched limit, so because I want to test if it's the same price, right? So I'm going to comment this out. I'm going to unwrap this. And then we could say assert eq. And I will explain what we are doing here real quick. I'm going to say the matched limit price. Can I do this? Is going to be... Can I do this, actually? Not quite sure. Which is his price? That should be 100, right? Not quite sure. Cargo test. Okay. So that's fine. Now we need to test if the... First of all, what we could do already is basically... Let's copy this assert eq, and we're going to say... Actually, why not? Let's type it again. Assert eq, you're going to say that the market order is filled should be true. Right? That's the first thing we're going to... We need to test. Yeah, that's fine. So it's filled, which is good. And it needs to be filled with the first limit, with the first order of the first limit, if that makes sense. Because the limit is a bucket of market orders sitting at a certain price level, right? For now, we only add one order to this guy, right? This is the guy we actually need, which is going to be filled with, because we're going to sort that stuff, right? We could even place this guy... what's going on here? Made a big mistake. We can even... place the guy here, right? Doesn't matter because it's going to get sorted. Okay. We can do this. The question rather is, can we do matched limits? Actually, match order. I need to be careful what I'm doing here. Let match order is going to be the matched limits. Orders. Get the first one. Unwrap. Yeah. And then we should actually say something like assert equal that that order that we just grabbed from the correct limit price, that should be the first one. Size. Actually, we could say is filled, right? Should be true. This is gonna work. Yes, right? Because let's, yeah, it's fine. So what are we doing here? Let's recap. Okay. So what are we doing here? We basically adding a bunch of limit orders to our books, right? At different price levels, and each of these limit buckets will hold one order, right? With 10 size, just to make it simple. We place these orders, these limit orders in a non-deterministic way, in a non-sorted way, because that's how it will reflect the real life. And then we're going to say we're going to make a market order, and that market order is going to be a bid, right? We're going to buy, which basically means we're going to grab the asks, because with a size of 10, right? So if we fill, we will fill both them, and we can test that, right? We can assert that. It makes it simple. So we're going to call the fill market order from the order book, right? We're going to try to fill that market order. So the order book, it's a bid market order, it's a buy market order, so the order book will fetch all the cells, people that are willing to sell, right? We're going to fetch the cheapest one, right? Because we're going to buy, we don't want to buy the highest, right? We want to buy the cheapest seller, right? So that should be this guy, right? This 100 price, okay? The first thing we test is the first order, right? The first order we get from our limits. That should be 100. Right? Because that's the cheapest one. That's true. That's fine. Then we're gonna test, hey, is our market order filled? It should be filled, right? Because that order, that limit has an order with size of 10, right? That's working perfectly fine. And then we're gonna say, yo, that limit we just fetched, the first one, the cheapest one, the first order, give me that order, because that is going to be the limit order that's actually being matched with our market order. So because they have the same size, they should both be filled. So that limit order should also be filled. And that's also true. That basically means that it is working. Of course, we need to test a lot of edge cases because we can fill multiple orders within the same limit. And then it could be that the whole liquidity is completely drained from that limit. And then we need to go to the next limit and we need to test all that stuff. I know. And we are going to do that. We are going to do that. What I want to check real quick is that what I'm not quite sure of is some naming. So you have a name new, limit is fine, fill order. Add order. I was not convinced with these namings with order book, by the way. This add order, because I think we're gonna call this add limit order. It's not fill, right? Because you don't fill a limit order if you add a limit order, right? You place it. So we're gonna say add a limit order. Of course, we're gonna have some issues, to be honest. Wait, we can't actually add a limit order. Let's do it like this. I think that makes more sense, to be honest, than add order. An engine and everything is gonna break, but it's fine. So order book, you see add order, that basically means, hey, we can actually add a market, but that's not. It needs to be a limit order like this. And then in order book itself, should have some issues, probably in the test, by the way. Yeah. I see. Is there a way I can actually do this? Let's take them all, and we're going to say add a limit order like this. You see? High value engineering at its best. I think that's going to be fine. Gotta go test. Cool. That's good. Let's go to main real quick. Or action. Are we going to main? Yeah. Let's see if we can do something. Order book, add limit order. That's fine. The next thing we're gonna do is, I think in the next episode we're gonna do some stuff, because we need to make sure. Let's open up order book. We need to make sure that if we place a market order, if you want to fill a market order, that there is enough volume in the books. And we already had, I think, in limit. Let's open up that thing. In limit, where is my man? Here. Total volume, right? So we have this total volume thing, which basically calculates, aggregates, sums up the total volume sitting at a certain limit. That's important because if we want to place a market order for a certain books, then we need to make sure, before we actually place it, that there is enough volume, not only for the limit, but for the whole order book. That's what we need to do. A very important thing, because otherwise you cannot place a market order. Then we need to bail out, then we need to return an error. And we also need to return, because we didn't do that, and a lot of people think, what the hell are you doing? But hey, listen, relax. Everything will have its time to do. It's basically once we do this order book and we fill a market order, right? What we need to return here, right now we return nothing, but what we actually need to return is something like, I'm going to do it like this. We need to return something like matches, right? A couple of matches, right? It's basically a vec of matches. That's what we're going to return. It's going to be a vec of matches, because each time we're gonna fill match with a limit order, we need to put that inside of a match, and then we need to keep track of how much size is filled and all that good stuff. An order ID, because we're gonna use these matches basically. you're going to use that in real life. An exchange is using these matches coming from the matching engine to basically do the settlements, right? Because if you, your matching engine is basically a dump thing, right? It's a dump logic. It's just matching stuff. And then it will return you some matches. And then it's up to you to basically settle the assets between the users, right? Between these matches. That's what we're going to do. And if we have these matches, that's the perfect time to actually make some good tests, because then we can actually test it in depth if we have these matches, right? Because right now we can't, without doing some shenanigans we already did. So that's for the next episode. I think it's good. We did some refactoring. I think we filled our market. I think everything is set up. Everything is ready to take it once again a step higher. So thanks for watching. If you like the content I'm providing, please consider subscribing to my channel. Give me a thumbs up. Leave some questions in the comments. Hop into the Discord channel where you have questions. You can ask me directly or with the community, and enhance yourself and go from engineer to a high value software engineer. Thanks for watching, and I see you in one of my live streams or the next video. Bye bye.